Hello, Medfield. Welcome to the newest edition of Happenings at the Town Hall. And our guest today, as the usual, Mike Sullivan, the Town Administrator for 42 years now?
Be 42 years next February,
Okay,
so I'm pushing
41 and a half.
Yes, yeah.
41 and a half years. And he's going to give us a snapshot of what's going on in the town right now.
Well, summer's over. Everyone's
Is that
back
right?
in town.
Today it really feels like it's
It feels
over.
like it sure does, yeah. And we've actually even had a little sprinkler too, so to help
Thank
with
God.
the water ban. We're still down. People are being very good about observing the water restrictions. So you can tell when you look at the daily consumption. It drops to about 1 million gallons a day on days when you can't water. And then on the days when there is watering, it'll go up to about 1.5 million to 1.7 million.
Okay.
So people are respecting it, and
Good.
of course they need to because it is a critical situation. I believe we're now in a critical drought condition too. They expanded that, and I believe we're now in the critical.
That's what really scares me is fires.
Yes, fires and
I can take a quicker shower, no problem, but the fires are unbelievable with all the woods we have around.
Yes, yeah, and I saw we're not as bad off as some of them. They were showing Situate, I believe it was, and their reservoir is down to 21% capacity.
Oh, God.
And they're asking people to use Dixie cups in the bathroom to rinse their toothbrushes instead of leaving the water running.
Oh, I leave it. Okay,
And
I'll
the
stop.
whole-
Yeah, I should stop doing it.
Or series like that.
I do mine under running water. I'll stop doing it.
Yes, yeah. So,
Huh.
but we did. We are incidentally. We received proposals last week for an engineering study of how to treat the iron manganese problems at the wells down behind the Wheelock School.
And the answer is?
Well, we have to pick the right consultant to give us the answer. There were 4 proposals received from 4 different consulting groups. So the Water and Sewer Board and Mowgli, the Public Works Director, they have to just decide which firm they want to go with.
What's the danger of that substance in the water?
It's actually good for you,
Consume-
manganese, probably not too much, but the iron, it depends on whether you're iron deficient or not.
Yeah.
Too much iron is bad for you. If you don't have enough iron, it's a good thing, but it's mainly a discoloration problem. The iron leaves a rust stain in your toilet bowl. The manganese leaves a black stain.
Oh.
So they have to do the study first to find out how to design whatever system they're going to use to remove them. And so it's sort of a two-phase thing. You do the study to tell you the best way to treat it, and then you design the facility. So we had $150,000 we appropriated this year at town meeting, and that came from the Water Enterprise Fund. That's not on the tax rate. And then they're probably going to be looking for another $150,000 next year to finish the study and the design. And then the following year, depending on what it comes in at, the estimate is somewhere around $3 million to build some sort of a treatment facility. Again, that will all be paid for out of the water rates. So, and I know people have been concerned about the water rates, but we still have some of the lowest water rates around. And this year, the rates have been dropping this year. They only went up 3%.
I'm trying to remember what the rate
The
is.
rate increases have been dropping.
What is the rate currently?
I think it's somewhere around $3.75, $4 for 1,000 gallons.
Okay.
That's why I laugh when
Have
you
to
hear
look at my
these,
bill.
when they had that thing about the plastic bottle recycling, and the people, the opponents of it spent $3 million on ads calling us greedy politicians because we were looking to steal the taxpayers' money. And I said to myself, well, wait a minute. We're selling 1,000 gallons for, say, $4, and they are charging, if you go to Fenway Park or Gillette Stadium, you pay that much for 16 ounces of water. So who's greedy?
Yeah.
I think in that case, they're the greedy ones, not the
Good way to look at it, though.
politicians. So. But in any event, that will be coming up. We also finished the new water tower that's online. That should be helping us with our electric bills, because instead of having to pump all of the water all the way across town to Mount Nebo Water Tower. A lot of it now only has to be pumped down the road because our primary producing well is right up near the State Hospital Cemetery, so it's a much shorter route. But we'll see on that. We did, this week we're putting out the bids for the antennas, the cell tower, cell radio antennas on the hospital water tower. And hopefully that will generate some money. The minimum bid we're suggesting is $40,000 a year, which is about what we're getting from the other carriers that are on top of Mount Nebo. So we're hoping that we'll get multiple carriers interested in
I do too.
getting. We have 3 on top of Mount Nebo, and we get around $125,000 a year for those 3.
Are there any dead zones currently in Medfield?
Dead zones?
Yeah.
It depends on your carrier. The worst carrier, from the reports I get from calls from people and comments I've had from people, is Verizon. They have quite a few dead zones, particularly along 109.
Really? Which part of 109, near Westwood or near Mills?
I think both ends.
Oh, okay.
I think more so near Millis. They are putting a couple of those small antennas on telephone poles now. They just got permission
Oh, that's a good idea.
to locate them. One of them is going on a pole right across the street from the Noon Hill Grill, and the other one's going up by Robertsboro Road.
Okay.
So that should help somewhat. But the other carriers, on Mount Nebo, we have Sprint, AT&T, and T-Mobile. And they all have as far as I know, they all have very good service. I've never received any complaints about the quality of the service from them. So we're hoping that Verizon will come in and put a bid in for the hospital water tower.
I hope so too.
Improve the service. So. We are looking at having to paint the Mount Nebo Tower in the next 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years, and whatever. But first we need to get the manganese iron problem addressed.
How high is it?
How high is
It's high, but how high is it?
Oh, you mean the height of the water tower?
Yeah, the tower.
Oh, I believe they're around 340 feet. Or 300.
Okay. I'm
Somehow
a very
they
bad judge when I drive by and see something.
Yeah, somehow the 323 stands out in my mind.
Okay, so
I
somewhere
don't
in there.
know, yeah. The levels of the Mount Nebo and hospital water tower will be about the same, because as you go back to high school chemistry, water seeks its own level, so you want to.
That's about all I remember.
Try to keep them at the same height. So. So there's a lot going on with the water system, and at the sewer end, we are doing quite well on the solar panels at the treatment plant. Right now, I looked this morning, and now that went in around mid-April and probably became fully operational around the end of April. And so far, as of today, we have generated 153 megawatts. Now, I said that to somebody, and they said, "You mean kilowatts?" I said, "No, megawatts." Because remember, the system down there has, I think, around 700 panels. So it's really cranking out electricity.
Yeah, I guess it does.
And I think it looked to me, now this won't happen all year, because obviously you don't get as much sun in the winter, but over the summer months, it looks like we're saving about $4,000 a month.
That's not bad.
Yes, plus we're going to get those SREC credits, which stands for Solar Renewable Energy Credits. That's part of the money I think you pay on your utility bill for conservation measures goes into a fund, and one of the uses for the money in that fund is to give generators of renewable energy what they call an SREC credit, and they're worth right now, they just set the price for this latest quarter, and it's $265 per megawatt. So we have 153 megawatts right now. So at that price, we generate, I know, somewhere north of $25,000
Okay,
just
good.
on that alone, and that's for less than 6 months. So that proved to be a very good investment for the town. I think it's not many things that the town will make money on, and that should be one. It worked out so well, the Permanent Building Committee is putting solar on the public safety building.
That makes a lot of sense
Yes,
too.
now
Sure.
that'll be a much smaller unit because it'll only be over the area where the bays
Oh,
where
the
the fire
garages,
trucks
okay.
are. So I think they figure estimated to be somewhere around 17 to 19% of the electrical generation would be produced by the solar panels, averaged out over a year.
How much snow can those panels hold? Suppose we have a massive snowstorm. Is there any problem with the amount of weight of snow?
No, there shouldn't be. And I imagine if it got up to a certain height, it would start to slide off anyway. And the roofs have been, at the station, were designed to handle that too,
Okay.
because they say don't shovel them off, the snow, because you're liable to scratch the panels and
Oh,
lose some
that's
of your
true.
capacity.
Yeah.
So, but I think we should be all right, even with a winter like we had 2 winters ago. So. I was looking at the long-range forecast for this winter, and they
And
said
it is?
we may have, the fall looks like it's going to be somewhat okay, not that cold.
Yeah, and?
And the winter looks like it's going to be cold, and according to the guy I read today, more snow, about normal to somewhat above normal snowstorms.
But not as bad as a few years ago.
I don't think so. No,
Good.
no.
I've had enough of that.
Although they don't really know, but it's a guesstimate. But they seem to be getting better. So, and actually, in a way, that should help with the drought. One of the problems with the drought, in addition to the lack of rainfall over the summer, was the low snowfall last winter. We didn't have much of a ground cover,
Right.
and the snowpack, as it melts, goes into the ground and
course it does.
recharges the water. So. So if we do get some snow, while you're out there shoveling, just think, well, maybe this is going to help with the water supply.
Let's hope,
So I
because we
can water
certainly
my
need it.
lawn next summer. Have to cut the grass more. So what else is happening around? Oh, the public safety building is supposed to be essentially complete this week.
So when can we see it?
Probably, I think they're going to have an open house, I think the end of October.
Be
They're going to
advertised?
try, if everything goes well. And they're going to do it before the police and fire actually move in. They're going to probably
Good.
moving
I'm
in
dying to
sometime
see
in
it.
November. Yeah, it's really looking nice on the outside since they put the landscaping in, and I think people will be pleasantly surprised with the inside too. Although I haven't seen it in about 6 weeks, so I'm not really sure. Last time I was in, they were still. I guess they had finished sheetrocking, but they hadn't done much painting, and they were wiring all over the place.
And they have meeting space in there too, correct?
Yes, they have a room that'll hold probably about 30 people for classroom and probably about 50 to 60 for
For a big meeting.
meetings. And then they have a really very nice conference room, beautiful views up over the main entrance in that tower. So that should be put to good use. I think a lot of groups will
Good.
want to use that. And they were encouraging people to use that, so that they want it well used.
And it'll still be open to the public, of course.
Yeah. Of course, there are some security concerns, so it can't be just walk in and take a look at it. You have to get cleared and buzzed in. And
I meant the
whatnot.
meetings, yeah, right.
The meetings, yes, yeah. Oh, yeah, they'd have to be. The other thing we're hoping to do too is some of the groups will, like the group we purchase our insurance from, if you arrange for meeting rooms for some of their training sessions, they give you a discount on your insurance.
Oh,
So we're hoping to utilize that room and some of the space down at the town garage to earn some discounts on our insurance, property and casualty insurance and workers' comp insurance. So all those things help a little bit.
Yep.
Keep trying. the other big news in town these days, of course, is
the
the
40B.
40Bs. Yes.
Everywhere I go.
Yes, we have 2 of them right now. We're not as bad. I was talking to someone the other day, and they said Sherburne has 7 applications for 40Bs. Sudbury has 2, but they total 500 units, 250 each. And we have the one up on Hospital Road that's 48 units, 12 of which are affordable. Those are condos. And they have submitted their application for a comprehensive permit to the Zoning Board of Appeals. That came in last week, I believe. So they will be scheduled. They have, I think, either 90 or 120 days to complete their findings on it and make a decision. I think they have 30 days to schedule the hearing, and if you don't schedule the hearing within 30 days, it's automatically granted. So you have to be very careful with this stuff. They're not doing the towns any favors with this 40B. This is why I get annoyed when I hear them get up and say it's a partnership between the cities and towns and the Commonwealth. I always say it's a dictatorship, it's not a partnership.
But it was on the ballot a few years ago to be repealed, and we didn't repeal it. I voted to repeal it.
Yes, but I understand.
I hate it.
I understand Medfield voted to keep it.
They did vote to keep it. I had lunch with a group of people today, and they didn't even remember it.
Yes,
some of them did not remember it.
And a lot of them probably didn't even vote on it.
Could be.
So,
could not have been aware of how important it was, an issue
Yes.
for the town.
Yeah. People need to know, it's like there's 4 ballot questions on. One of them is legalizing marijuana.
Yep.
Well, that's probably going to pass in Medfield, even though the police chief is against it, I'm against it.
It's getting majority rules so far.
School superintendent is against it, yeah. But then they'll complain about, why is the police budget going up? Why is this going up? And why are we going to spend more money at the state level? Well, you're legalizing all these things that the officials tell you that you shouldn't. And if you want to do it, fine, but then pay the price.
Will there be an age limit like there is for alcohol?
I think it's 18. They can't sell to anyone under 18.
That's what I was wondering.
But, I understand out west, a lot of this is food products. There's more marijuana being sold in food products and drink products than there are in reefers or whatever, joints or whatever they call them.
I never tried any of it yet. No.
And that has a way of getting to young kids. If you offer a kid a brownie with marijuana in it, good luck. And it's one thing to get into your parents' stash of liquor. It's another get into their stash of brownies. Doesn't quite seem so bad, does it? So.
Considering I have brownies in my freezer as we speak.
Well, hopefully there's no pot in them.
There's no pot in there. No pot in there.
But then there's, 4 questions. One is on
caged animals.
Caged animals.
The charter school.
Charter schools, yeah. And I forget what the 4th one is. I did get the booklet on it this week, and I haven't read it yet.
Oh, God, I'm trying to remember what the other one was.
But the charter school one is quite controversial. The governor is supporting it. Senator Warren is opposing it. It's be interesting to see how that turns out. But the 40Bs, anyway, we have in addition to the one on Hospital Road, as I said, the Zoning Board of Appeals hearing will be coming up within 30 days. People will have an opportunity to go and listen to the presentation and to oppose it or support it or to ask for modifications in it. The other one, they filed their site approval with Mass Housing, and the site visit actually was held this morning, which is the 28th of September. We're filming this. So they had people from Mass Housing come out, and the 40B specialist that the developer has hired. And then there was a young man from Sherburne who's with the development team, and he was there. And so there were, Representative Garlick was there with her new aide, and there were some of the neighbors and a lot of town officials, but it's kind of a perfunctory thing, you know. They walk around and look at it, and you don't know what they're thinking.
Right.
They don't really tell you. And generally, they approve these things regardless.
Now,
you know.
Jason Tellerman is going to be representing the town or helping the town?
We've hired him to represent the town.
I had a talk with him at the meeting, after the meeting the other night
Yeah.
that I went to, and he was a good friend of one of my sons. So I said, you better do a good job because you ate an awful lot of my cookies over the years while you were growing up, and he laughed. His parents were good friends of mine.
Right. Yeah.
They're good people.
And
He was a good kid.
yeah. Yes, he was a very good kid. And Roz just passed away a couple of years ago. I know she was down at the senior center a lot.
I know him long
and-
before
and
that.
Herb has been dead for quite a while. He was quite a photographer.
Yeah. He took pictures of all of us when we
The
were.
presidents and popes.
But he had all the
cars.
selectmen there, remember?
That's right.
He used to work
yes.
for Backrack, and
Yeah.
he, when I was elected, he offered to take everybody's picture, and we had the wall full. I
Yeah.
don't know what happened to all those pictures. They were great.
Yes, the Rogues Gallery.
And some of us were rogues, I guess. But
No,
but
no,
the
you
Tellermans did a lot
you
for
all been
town.
Pretty good, yeah, yeah. So anyhow, that the big concern there is the scale of it. You know, it's just overwhelming. 5-story building, 2 stories of underground parking. That's so foreign to
Yeah.
Medfield. And then on the other side, we'll be taking down hundreds of trees.
I bet you will.
So, and there'll be big fills, and it's just so out of scale for Medfield. But you know, this wonderful Commonwealth is allowing it to happen, and the developers are just jumping over it.
I would be too if I were a builder. I'd say,
They'll make tons of money on
There's
it.
more
I'm
money
sure,
coming.
yeah, yes. So it's a shame. You know, we actually had tried to buy that land, one of the parcels, a couple of years ago to
remember.
put the public safety
I
building.
remember that.
The owner wouldn't sell, and then she passed away, and her children sold it. So,
I was surprised she wouldn't sell it to us.
well, she did. She wanted to stay there. She wasn't ill at the time.
She could have lived with me for the rest of her life. That would have been great. I liked her. We were
Yeah.
good friends.
Yeah,
But it
well,
would have been a very good spot for a public safety building, right there
you-
on 27.
You know how it is to give up your house.
I gave up
yeah,
mine.
Yes, yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
So,
it is hard.
yeah. So,
Cleaning it out was harder in a lot of ways.
yes.
Going through all the stuff over the years with the 6 kids and
But on next week on the 6th, which I believe is next Wednesday night, 6th of October, there'll be a session that Mark Sorrell and Jason Tellem are going to put on explaining 40B, because a lot of people don't really understand how it works.
what time will that be? I have a Lions Club meeting. I'm wondering.
It's usually 7 or 7:30. I'm not exactly sure of the time, but it'll be posted on the website.
I might be able to
and
make
there'll
the
be
end of it.
publicity about it.
At
And
Town
then,
Hall or at the high school?
I believe it's at Town Hall.
Town Hall, okay.
The meeting on the 18th, I believe it is at the high school. That will be where the developer of the Dale Street project will make their presentation to the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
So they're expecting a large turnout for that, so that'll be at the high school auditorium.
I'm hoping the camera will be there. Medfield TV, I hope so.
Hoping that who will be there?
At the Medfield TV, I want them there at that meeting.
Oh, I would hope so. I would think that would be one they wouldn't want to miss.
It's the same night that
Certainly of interest.
It's the same night that the Medfield High School varsity soccer team is playing at Gillette.
Oh,
And my
oh.
grandson's on it. It's so important that all my kids from New England are going to come, and one of my sons is coming up from South Carolina to go. There's no way I can choose a meeting over that, because it's going to be a big family
That's right, yeah, yeah.
outing, so I hope it's on TV so I can watch it later.
Oh, and I'm sure that will be on television, yeah.
If not, hey, you guys, if you're listening, Medfield TV, make sure you film that.
Yes. If you don't film that, we won't come back next month.
That's right, or else we'll charge.
Yes. Yeah. So it's, you know, I don't know what we'll end up with that one. That's going to be a long, dragged-out process, I'm sure. But it's a shame that the types of things that this law allowed. You know, it was to put in affordable housing. Well, the one up on Hospital Road, he's talking about $800,000 on some of the units now if you fish it up, if you finish it out with all the high-end finishes. And to me, that's not what affordable housing was, Granted, they need to make some money to subsidize the affordable units, but tell me if they get 30 extra units from the zoning because they're probably only maybe allowed to get 6 units under the regular zoning, so now they're putting 48 units, 12 are subsidized, so that brings it down to 36. You take away the 6 that they would be allowed, so they're getting 30 extra units at market rate, and they can't subsidize 12 units. They have to charge $800,000 in order to cover the additional construction costs of the units. In my mind, it's a farce.
I was just appointed to the Senior Housing Committee, so I've been doing my homework. I called, I was a real estate broker, as you know, for a long time, so I called the other offices in Medfield and told them could they get back to me with some answers to what drives people over 55 away from Medfield. What are the reasons that they leave Medfield? What does it take to get them back to Medfield? And what does it take to keep them here? And I've had some very good answers. Some of the offices have been absolutely fantastic. 2 of them actually had meetings and discussed it to send me the results.
Most of the people I've talked to that I know that have moved over to Norfolk, say, or Millis, will say that it's because the type of housing they're looking for is not available in Medfield.
That's the second.
At a reasonable price.
You know what the first thing was?
High taxes.
Taxes.
Yes.
At least so far. I haven't heard from everybody yet.
Well, it depends. Sometimes I've heard people that complain about high taxes after the kids get out of school. But when the kids are in school, they want all the extras. So it's not everybody. There are some people that don't have people in the school system. But we get people that come into town and they're here 6 months and I want this from my kids. I want that for my kids. I pay high taxes. Well, how many kids you have in the schools at 12,000?
But I've been asking some other seniors I know that have moved out of Medfield, and one is in Norfolk, but not in either of the new developments. And I said, how come you left Medfield? And she said, I happen to know the answer anyway, but she said it was a business transfer with her husband. And they wanted to come back to Medfield, and she said in the 4 or 5 years they were gone, their old neighborhood had appreciated so much they couldn't afford to come back. And that's an issue.
It is a shame, and now you see all these multi-million-dollar condos in Boston. I understand they had one where Flene's was that sold for $35 million.
Isn't that crazy?
And I'm saying, anybody that thinks Boston and Cambridge are poor is sadly mistaken. Cambridge, for example, is filthy rich. They are sitting on an ocean of money. They could raise almost $300 million without an override. They have, last I looked at the end of fiscal 15, they had something like $192 million in free cash and $96 million in unused tax levy. So, and they spend something like, last time I looked, it was something like $25,000 per student they're spending on it.
Yeah. Well, the brokers told me that the housing price is an item, but they didn't say affordable, except small a affordable. Normal prices. And I said, what do you consider a normal price? And 2 that called me today said between $450,000 and $500,000.
Yeah,
they weren't talking affordable.
Yeah.
They're just talking, I guess, moderate. Is that moderate in Medfield? And
that's the problem. The Council on Aging and some of the seniors have been pushing for housing for seniors that want to stay in town. Unfortunately, most of them are not going to meet the guidelines.
Absolutely.
So they're not going to be 40B units because they'd be over income or over the asset levels.
Unless you cheat.
So unless you cheat.
And put some on track, do everything in trust.
Yeah. So somebody that's worked all their life and supported the town and saved their money doesn't get any benefit, and somebody that just comes along, doesn't have any savings, qualifies and gets brand new housing, and the taxpayers, including those people who can't afford to stay, have to subsidize that. It doesn't seem right.
But some deserve it, though. That's the trouble.
Some
Some do deserve it. Some people
deserve
worked
it.
hard and things.
Yes.
I was lucky.
Yes, yeah,
I was very, very lucky. My sister, my only sibling, has been very lucky.
yeah.
So we were okay. We both were very careful saving, et cetera. We got all our kids through college and grad school and everything else. And we were still okay, which is great.
Yeah.
But everybody's not lucky enough.
No, and I realize that. But there were some people that don't try very hard, too, that benefit from it. I mean, look at, who was it, Aunt something that had the big apartment and the brand new housing there, Obama's aunt?
Yep.
And it was fancy clothes and, you know, dolled out, and she was living in a brand new apartment. Did she deserve it? I don't know.
I don't know either.
What she did. So maybe she did. I don't know the background of it, but it doesn't seem.
There are a few sad cases that I'm glad we had
Yes.
housing. I absolutely
Yes.
know several of those.
And unfortunately, you have to take the bad with the good, I guess. And it seems to me that these days there's no differentiation between it. So, but
we'll be working on it anyway.
yes, yeah.
I'm very, very grateful to the brokers being so honest and calling me back so quickly. And talking in their offices about it and giving ideas back and forth. But right now, that seems to be the main thing.
Yeah.
Taxes and the lack of what I'm calling moderate price, I don't know the term to call it,
Yeah.
moderate price housing.
Well, you know, it's interesting on taxes, too. I look at the average tax bill just went over $10,000 in Medfield. So it's probably quadrupled, say, in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Look what's happened to housing prices. Look what's happened to car prices.
Exactly right.
Look what's happened to a price of beer or a restaurant meal. So a lot of things have actually gone up just as much as taxes, but people don't think of it that way. They're somehow fixated on taxes.
It's the best investment.
They don't seem to think they get any benefit from it other than when their kids are in school.
The one
but there
broker
is a
went.
lot, yeah.
One broker went so far to say that when she called in today, that she thought they all should be one floor, which is more expensive for a developer. It takes up more area on the ground, of course. And I said, well, what's wrong with 2 floors and have a stair chair? I said, that's how I got to stay in my old house for a long time because of the stair lift.
Or there's some cases, if you have a site with some change in elevation, you can have one floor down here and another floor up higher, so it's still a 1-floor unit, but it's stacked up at an angle. There's some creative ways to do that.
But these are all things we'll have to think about as we start talking about it.
Yes, yeah.
See what we can do.
You know, but it seems to me, I said to somebody today, I've seen this happen so many times before. The real estate market gets so overheated, and then it's a bust and boom cycle. Right now we're in a boom cycle. I heard on the radio coming down here that the real estate sales for the last month were the highest they've been since before the recession. And, you know, in a couple of years, when they start raising interest rates or when we finally start deciding we have to pay the federal tax debt, start reducing the debt, there'll be a bust in real estate, and there'll be units that are lying, sitting empty, unfinished. Like down in Florida, remember Florida a few years ago when they had tens of thousands of empty units sitting there rotting?
Yeah.
You know, when they build like crazy like that, they get greedy and they get ahead of themselves. And then there's a crash, and, you know, I don't know who loses on it. Probably the average taxpayer loses on that too, because it seems like we have to subsidize the banks and the mortgage companies and everybody else. So, I don't know.
It's going to be interesting, though.
Yes.
A lot of things to work with.
And then you see what these banks are doing. You know, that was that guy, that head of Wells Fargo, and the money, the salaries they're pulling down, they're obscene. I don't care. No one is worth that much money.
Yeah.
It's just so out of whack. You know, instead of paying the doctors that save, you know, coming up with cures for cancer and Alzheimer's, we're giving millions and millions of dollars to baseball and football players
Oh, yes.
who to play kids' games and entertain us. The whole system seems so crazy. It's like upside down. We're not rewarding based on the benefit to society, we're rewarding on the entertainment value. What was it in Roman times? They said, give them bread and circuses. Maybe we're back to bread and circuses. Yeah, keep them fed and entertained, and they'll be happy.
Yep.
So.
Well, we'll see if we can do that here with the housing problems. I'm very curious to see how we'll try to resolve it anyway.
Yes.
Resolving will not be a quick process.
Yeah. By the way, we have 2 new restaurants that have opened up in town in the last couple of weeks too. Well, one of them was Casa Bella that was remodeled, and boy, is it different, totally different in there. And the other one is where Honey's was. That's officially open. They told me
Cutlet?
October 1st. Cutlets, yeah. So they're somewhat more takeout restaurants than say Nosh and Grog or Avenue, the other places, but they are open. So I said, this is terrible. I'm trying to lose weight, and I come out of the town hall, and there's about 8 restaurants with a 1 minute walk.
Because we still have Basil, we still have Noon Hill Grill. I mean,
yeah, sure. You got the you go up the corner at
the Ice House.
You've got the Japanese restaurant.
We have the Ice House too.
The Ice House, yeah. Noon Hill Grill, Brothers. It's got all kinds of food in
Brothers
there.
got a lot of food there.
Yes, Go Fresh. The Chinese restaurant, China Sky, I believe it is.
We used to go out on Friday nights with friends all the time years ago, and if we didn't have any specific place, we go to Franklin and we cruise. And we'd find a restaurant, and they always had a restaurant that we hadn't been to. They had so many down there. So maybe we'll be the restaurant destination.
Well, it was amazing this summer, especially on Thursday nights when they had the concerts. And you had the Zulu Gallery deck opened up. You had Nosh and Grog was booming. The Avenue was mobbed. People walking around the center, which really.
And now Cutlet will be mobbed.
Yes, yeah. So.
I wish them all luck. I hope they do well.
I do too. Yes, yeah. And you know, people may be interested in this too. The town meeting about 3 years ago passed a local meals tax.
I remember that.
It's 3/4% added onto the state meals tax, and we get paid, and that's generating about $11,000 a month.
Not bad.
No, very good. Who would have thought 3/4%?
Yeah.
Which of just local restaurants would generate $11,000 a month?
Sounds good to me.
Yes. And part of the, not much of it, a little bit of that money was used for the pocket park, which turned out to be very nice, actually. I noticed you people have a bench in memory of Andy there. So
yes, there is.
Very nice. And you know, that park, I was shocked at how well used it gets.
It seems to be, and when I've gone by, I've seen it.
And it's all different age groups. I've seen young kids in there, you know, playing with the fountain. I've seen people playing checkers. I've seen people sitting there knitting, and or people with their grandchildren.
Yeah, we've been there.
Yeah, it's very, turned out to be a nice addition to the downtown.
Good. I'm glad for them. It's good planning, good ideas.
Yes, yeah. So I think
that's
probably
it?
Well, I think that's quite a bit for 1.5 hour. Gee, boy, you know, got to save something for next month. So.
Will you come back at the end of next month too?
As long as they film that meeting down at the high school, so,
That's right.
We'll put the pressure on them. So yes.
Or they can come to Gillette and film the high school varsity soccer team.
That's right, and pay $4 for a 16-ounce bottle of water.
But it was $25 to get in.
Really?
Yeah, that's what my son told me.
Wow. Who were the greedy ones?
I don't know. He just told me the tickets were $25 and he bought me one. I said, yay.
God.
But it'll be good to see the kids there, and it'd be nice support.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you, Michael, for coming.
Well, thanks for having me. It's always fun to come down and get up on my soapbox and rant and rave every once a month. I don't get to do that much at town hall, so I can come down here and unload on you.
And unload on the poor people that are watching us.
Yes, yeah.
But thank you all for watching the happenings at the town hall, because without Mike Sullivan, I don't know how we'd run town hall. It would not be the same thing.
Well, listen, it ran 350 years before me, and it'll run 350 years after me, hopefully.
Oh, and our mutual college, from which we both graduated, university actually, was number 4 with the Wall Street Journal's listing.
Yes, yeah.
Stanford first came Stanford, then came MIT,
Columbia.
then came Columbia, and then came Penn.
Whoever
Unfortunately,
thought-
also the home
yes,
of
yes, yes.
Donald Trump.
Yes, whoever thought Penn would beat Harvard, Yale, and Princeton at anything, so
Yeah, that was great to hear that.
that's okay. In addition, besides Donald Trump, I just found out that in my class at Penn, Peter Lynch graduated the same year I did too. So
Who's Peter Lynch?
Magellan Fund, Fidelity.
Oh,
Yes,
how about that?
he certainly did all right for
I
himself.
guess, and that's what part of the Wall Street rankings were based on,
On
success
ability to
after
get
graduation.
jobs. Yeah. Well,
So we must both be rich.
yes, so maybe Trump really does have those billions. He's bragging about it.
And maybe he really paid his taxes. I don't know. But anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll be back before the election. Then we can, some point, maybe we can talk about the election and see what happens with these 4 big questions.
Yes.
That would be good. Okay, thanks again, everybody, for watching.
The preceding was a production of Medfield TV, Community Show.